We're gonna do a song that you never heard before.
The volume.
Hear the drummer get wicked. Here we go again.
Ace Kennedy, my brother from another mother.
What's good?
Hey man, this is the thing. This is the one thing I have to say about these new fancy little plugs is
Mhm.
that based off of my little setup here, sometimes they occasionally get caught on the back here of my studio thing and pop smooth out. What's going with you though, man?
Oh man, it's been a week, bro. Uh,
Yeah.
can't really go into detail, but the job's got something going on, so we're doing a thing for the government. That's all I can say. So that's
Okay.
been a task for the week. But then the girl Charlie. So we performed Saturday at the state fair. Went well. Um, Immediately after we get done performing, she's like, "I don't feel good." So I was just like, "All right, well, we was like, listen, let's just go grab something to eat and then we can roll out." So we did that,
Right.
get it to the crib and everything, and which was fine because Sarah was out too. And I thought, like, man, the heat must have got him because both of them was kind of just like, Sarah was real good, like but she had been active all day. And I even told him, like, listen, you need to sit down somewhere because you going to the fair later and you out here just wilding. And so, sure enough, we get to the crib and everything. And so, man, Monday, Sarah texted me, was like, "Yo, Charlie says she can't taste nothing." I'm like, "Oh boy."
Lordy.
Yeah. So took her to urgent care this morning. All the tests came back negative, but he was just like, "Look, you know, we our test probably can't test for the new strand." He said, "I know when you say no taste, what you immediately thinking." And
Yeah.
so but she's been in good spirits though. She's but telling her she can't go to school for like a week, that thing just kind of hit her differently. She's like, "Oh,
That's what I wanted to see. Like, what is that like for elementary school? Like, for somebody like you get to middle school, high school, you like, yeah, we good. What's
yeah,
the life for her in elementary school for somebody who I'd assume is the life of the party in elementary school?
right." And you got this fire video that's ready to be played in front of everybody. That, look, I just performed in front of this many people at the state fair.
Yeah.
So yeah, social butterfly. That's just like clipping the wings, bro. So yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. But other than that, though, that's about it, man. Just out here. Been editing a bunch of video, bro. That's been a thing right
Okay.
now, just editing.
Well,
All
listen, man, we got some things to talk about, man. Let's get that music rolling there.
right, let's get it.
Let's do it.
It doesn't matter what your name
The
is.
Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast of all time. The Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast
If you
of all
smell
time.
what the rock. It doesn't matter what your name
The
is.
Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast of all time. The greatest podcast of all time.
Hey, listen, if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to the Slash Brothers YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok pages. We are live on all platforms at the same time. Whenever you click on the notification, you click on that little bell, you get the heads up whenever your boys and is doing their thing. Ace Kennedy. Hey, I'm just thinking about something here. They came to an agreement on the TikTok. Before the longest time they were
Yeah,
talking about, with yeah. So they came to an agreement basically though, right? And it will indeed be heavily, if not wholly, US owned. I think that the cat from Oracle is going to be the primary. I think him and there's another other company as well. The Oracle folks will be the place that will house the servers basically and the information. I think that was always the biggest stickler within the whole thing was that it was always looked at as a Chinese company based off of what the servers were. Ooh, I don't know what got me yawning here. I've been yawning like all day long though, bro. Um, but I thought that was kind of interesting though, man, because I think that everybody was thinking like TikTok is coming to an end, and I think that the folks who own TikTok was definitely trying not to give up. Now I don't know if it's like a US version of TikTok versus the version that everybody else gets from throughout the world. But I think that one of the things that's very interesting about this though, man, is that with TikTok being sold to Oracle, the guy who is the CEO of Oracle, he basically is the person who replaced Elon Musk
Mhm.
as the person in the world, though, right? But everybody now that it's been sold to the board members and everybody's looking into, that becomes public knowledge now. Like, who you supporting here, though, man? And so everybody's background and their affiliations start to come on up with something like this, though, man. But
Right.
it's still good to see that at least TikTok is going to be around for the foreseeable future, though, man.
Yeah, I thought you was the leader of the Save TikTok hashtag that was floating around.
I listen, I'm right there. And I think that I appreciate it. But then it's just like this is the thing I think that is interesting about the sale of TikTok to a US company, specifically to someone who has supported more conservative values, right? The concern that people like myself have is that like TikTok, for good or bad, was kind of the last frontier that I think of free speech and just free speech for media, right? So you could go there and you can get information and decide from yourself. A lot of times you had, folks who were closer, you had boots on the ground there, though, right? And so I think that a lot of the information was always there. And I think one of the things that everybody was always concerned about was the censorship, right? And especially in today's climate where you are increasingly seeing government officials looking to basically suppress what can be said, whether it's on TV, whether it's in the news. I think that a lot of that was one of the concerns that people like myself had with TikTok. It's like if you felt some kind of way about something that someone said, you could very well look the other way because you had other alternatives, all right? And I think that that's always been the concern is that now that you've had these people looking to kind of quiet certain audiences for good and bad, though, man. And that was my concern is that well, if I want to be able to dig for myself for information, though, does that information now look a little different from a company who's abiding by U.S. regulations versus someone who isn't?
Right. Um,
Yeah,
it's interesting you say that because you know, Jimmy Kimball is back tonight
yeah,
after
yeah,
a brief hiatus, and you know, it definitely got real political. Obviously, we've talked about the passing of Charlie Kirk, and Jimmy Kimball had words on the show. During the monologue, people always say something, but you know what he said wasn't really. It was mild. It was mild,
very,
and
very mild.
for that to then for them to like the FCC guy coming out talking to, basically talking about we gonna do this either the easy way or the hard way if we gonna get him up out of here. And he was gone for a stretch, and Disney received backlash from it because they was like, listen, bro, if this is what we doing, I ain't want no parts of Disney, Hulu, ABC, ESPN, none of that. We out.
I was one of those people.
Yeah, they lost 4 billion in revenue or something, something to that effect over that little stretch. And because here's the thing, I don't even like Jimmy Kimball like that. I fell out with him over the Aaron Rodgers stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because Aaron Rodgers clapped back because you again, you free to say what you want to say, but you ain't free from the response, and you ain't free for the consequences. And Aaron Rodgers clapped back, and then he want to talk about legal stuff, and I'm just like, nah, bruh, you can't be on your platform saying all kind of stuff about this man, and then he finally decides to respond on another big platform, and then you talking about legal stuff. So I fell out with him over that. But like again, the Charlie Kirk stuff was light. As a matter of fact, it wasn't even what he said there. He just was like, look, I see the president is heavily grieving. And then they showed him and he talking about building ballroom stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't comment too much on him, but that's pretty much what he said. And he was gone, and he will be back. I'm sure they already filmed, but it will air tonight. So I'm sure people will tune in to see.
I
But tonight,
definitely want to tune in. So this is my thing. I think that I when it comes to late night TV, right?
Mhm.
They compete with so many different things that I don't know that I'd necessarily say that I've ever watched any of them. As much as I don't watch them during in the evenings, right? I like to watch something like that
clips.
in clips. So like, yeah,
Yeah.
so that works out perfectly for me. So I've always followed Jimmy Kimmel and I followed the Tonight Show, so that I can still see what's going on and be aware, right? I think that the thing that is interesting to me about that though, right, is that I think that he's basically had the FCC chairman that basically was following the behest of the president, right? That basically he got up here and said, hey, you know what? They can't just say stuff like that about me and it just not be nothing, right? And it's just like, I think that basically he is just he literally has, for someone who tries to be so tough, he has such a thin skin that it's like, all right, well, I'm feeling some kind of way, so I'm gonna go ahead and get my people to go ahead and do something about it. And listen, I always feel like, to me, I appreciate the freedom of speech more than, I mean, probably freedom of speech, freedom of religion are probably the two of the constitutional rights that I appreciate probably more than some of the others, because I think that those are the two primarily that separates us vastly from other countries. All right. And so I think that even when you have somebody like a Charlie Kirk who, still feels some kind of way that he was assassinated, but I also, I do feel like, all right, he did have a right to say whatever he wanted to say, the same way I had a right to not listen and feel the other way, though, right? I never felt like what he was saying, just because I disagree with it, should have been censored or should have been shunned, for that matter, though, right? It's like you have an audience, and maybe even if it was just like using a platform like Twitter or like Facebook, and they say, no, we don't appreciate that and we don't allow that or whatever. But in general terms, though, right? If you have a platform, you should have the right to say whatever you want to say on it. I just find that it's interesting, though, that that when I look at presidents, right, I think of every chance that he got and gets, he would basically try to go in on Joe Biden, right? And he was real quick to go ahead and get him on out there on him. But the minute that someone says something about him, it's a lot different. He made a political start basically of jumping on Barack Obama, right? And all of these people were jumping on Barack Obama, especially. And I think that when I see that they get out here, though, bro, and now they're trying to protect him when he's in his feelings, though, bro, it's just like, nah, man. It's like a lot of what they're doing when you start to impede on people's constitutional rights at the order of the president, though, bro. It's like, nah, it's like at some point the law and the order doesn't necessarily matter, though, bro. And listen, I don't want to get too long-winded in this whole thing, but I think that that's where you get into people talking about, oh, this is a fascist versus someone said you're anti or you're far left wing versus far right wing, because these to me are the gray area things that once you start to censor those or try to shut someone up based off of them exercising those rights, then to me, how you feel about that act by itself separates how far left or right you are. And that's where those kind of things can be catalysts for such a bigger conversation. Like we were talking about Charlie Kirk, and they had his remembrance. I don't think it was a funeral or whatnot, though, man. But in the end, right, it was just like, okay, well, it came out to where they used his memorial as a platform to basically be like another Trump rally, right? And so it's like they have the right to do that. If someone aired it, they have the right to do that. The same way I have the right to feel differently and whatnot, though. And I think that it's a very that's a very American thing though, right? That you can feel however you want to feel about it though, bro. I do think that it's just it's interesting to me that one of the things that was interesting. I'm not sure if you saw any of the highlights from it. I did because it pops up on my TikTok feed now, and I'm in the matrix now, right? That's part of my algorithm. But I think that one of the things that kind of that was a theme of this was Christianity, right? And politics though, bro. And it's almost like they were basically making it seem like this man was Jesus, like he just died for everybody's sins. And I'm just like, but that's their right to feel that way. That's their right to actually say it. That's their right for someone to publicly put this on TV and say that, though, man. And so while I disagree, I still appreciate and respect someone's right to say it and feel that way.
Right. But at the same time, what's dangerous is when you have people saying like Colbert's gone already. They already got Colbert out of here. Then they got
Yep.
Fallon. I mean, they got Kimball out of here. And they said Fallon was next. You know what I'm saying? That's dangerous when you only want to have one voice uh portrayed in the mainstream media. And so that's why it was important that Jimmy got his job back. But if Jimmy would have been like, nah, I'm chucking y'all to do something about to start my own thing, I wouldn't have been mad at that either. Because go ahead.
But see, but that's the point. Like that's where that's where to me when people talk about or you Antifa, right? I thought like it's just by how you're describing it, right? I thought the most American thing that you can do is be against fascism because that's where you talk about the old the Russia, right? They have one voice. They have their leadership determines everything. North Korea the same way, basically though. So you have all these countries where it just so happen to be the people that he admires, very greatly. That no, this is what he likes, and so when you move that way, that's why someone's quick to call that a fascist type of ideology, right? And so when you think that it's dangerous, right? You ordinarily, right, a person who is a like a God fearing, whatever blue state, red state American, you would think the natural thing for an American is to be against that because that's what makes us America. But for this guy, when you're willing to look past it, we talked about that some years ago, though, man, when we were first on the pod, and we were talking about it's just amazing how some of those Trump supporters very easily look past their normal, hey, this is my rationale, this is what I think, and they gladly overlook it for him. And I think that it's just like there's when you're an American, the most American thing you can do is be against fascism. But for that party and those supporters, they will very easily look past their normal good sense because to that rationale, it just they're riding with it though, bro. And that is a very dangerous thing though, bro.
Oh, it's very dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Because the thing is that you ought to be able to listen to whatever you like. You don't have to listen to Jimmy Kimball, but you're tuning in to see what he's gonna say
True.
because you worried about what he's gonna say. So the thing is that when you're trying to silence all of those voices, that is dangerous. Period. So yeah, again, I'm glad that they had the memorial and the people that wanted to support that did. It was good to hear from his wife, uh, who basically kind of just said that she forgiven the alleged forgiven the killer. And
Just listen, not a tear in sight when she said it, bro. I stuff like that is just one of those things where I'm just blown away by the act though, bro. It's like not to say that, and I try my best. And you know this about me in my personal life. One of the things that for me is that's a big deal for me is that I am one who I give people grace and space when it comes to how they want to grieve, right? And I think that just through being there for me in that personal space though, bro. It's like I can't tell someone how to react and how to feel and what how they move when they're actually going through it. But listen though, bro, when I saw something that looked like an act, I also want to call a spade a spade. Respect to her and everything, but I just the whole thing just looked like that they really hijacked this man's from even her involvement as well, though, bro. It just like they hijacked his death and his memorial
Yeah,
as a way to.
but I
Mhm.
also think though, that she already had the family ceremony, that this was for the spectacle. So I also think that, like you said, there's a time and place of crying, and I think she probably has cried a lot of tears.
Maybe. And
And
respect. And again, that's why for me, I'm gonna give her the grace. I'm gonna give her the space to say, however you felt like you want to deal with that, that's on you.
yeah, but yeah,
I do think something that is interesting though.
what's that?
You want to hear something that's interesting? Someone on on TikTok, and this was verified, said that traffic out there in Arizona was horrendous. Said that it just had backed up everything, the traffic. But they wasn't talking about city traffic. You know what the traffic they were talking about?
What's that?
They said that every time there's a Trump rally, right, in any city, they said that Grinder, the app Grinder, crashes because the traffic that is being gone through there is through the roof. And they said that they had to go to the backup server out there because Grinder traffic was that bad out there, though, man. For these, and I thought that that was a joke. And then they said this happens. They said Grinder reports a spike every single Trump convention, though.
That's wild.
Anywho, bro.
Every time you kept saying that, all I kept hearing was that Pharrell song, grinding. I don't know.
Hey, bro. Hey, listen, man. It's amazing, bro. Anywho, bro.
Yeah.
I
Speaking
can
of
think
new
that
music,
is
go ahead, go ahead, go
yes.
ahead.
No, we were talk about music.
Speaking of new music, Cardi's new album dropped, and I must
Yes.
say, I'm on her TikTok following. I knew the album was dropping. I watched the entire Breakfast Club interview and still haven't listened to the album. And I know Sarah has. She spent the whole day listening to it when it dropped. I have not heard it, and I feel so terrible. But honestly, though, when I was preparing for the state fair, my brain was all on that, trying to figure
Right.
out the set. So I just didn't have any room or any space to pull up the new music. So, but I did listen to the entire interview on the Breakfast Club. I love how vulnerable she is about stuff. She keeps it so real as far as like her feelings about things. Um, for her to be that big of a celebrity, I just think is real dope for her on how she just, she speaks about everything. So, but have you had a chance to listen to the album?
So it's a lot of songs, by the way, right? Which you can tell, like, it's been a while since she, put out something. It's like 23 songs or something like that, right? I think that I've listened to the first five, right, so far. And let me tell you what I think is interesting about it, though, bro. What I think is funny about it is that the album in itself it's not like I think like I was talking to let's shout out to my brother Cinematic Visuals. I was kicking it with him the other day. And he was like, "Yeah, it ain't for me though, man." He did not necessarily like, and I don't think that it's a guy's album. It's not an album. I mean, it's just it's like you talking down on guys, but it's almost like she's like, she said on the Joey and Jada podcast, she was like, "No, I'm the man on this album though, bro." And I thought that that was a good way to look at it because I didn't go into the Cardi album thinking that what she got on there for me. I think that one thing that is interesting to me about it though, bro, is that when I listened to the Cardi album, I almost thought what does somebody who's like a Megan fan, what are they going to think about it? What are the people who are fans of what are the fans of female rappers today? How would they feel like this ranks with those other albums, though, bro? And I'm gonna tell you, man, so far, 5 songs in, I think that it's very dope, bro, for her. Now, this is the thing I think that's very interesting. She got this song on there that's called Hello. And
Hmm.
so far, it's one of my favorite songs. And I was just like, I don't, this is one of them ones. It's not like a Bodak, but to me, it's better than a lot of the other singles. It's better than Outside. It's better than that. But listen, this is one of the things I think that is very curious to me, though, bro. All right. So I know that we look at writing differently from R&B to hip hop, right? But the boy Party is credited on this one on 17 of like the 20 something songs that she got. He is listed on there. And she has a litany of writers credited on there. And I think that that's also producers that may be credited. There's some here and there though, right? Um, but then someone also pointed out that there's a significant number of writers credited to Nicki's albums as well, right? And I don't see that with Megan's album, right? Because Megan's writing a lot of her own raps, and not to say Nicki doesn't. But my thing is this though, bro. Does that with this Cardi album, did that make you change what your normal stance is on writing for an artist and
No,
them using writers?
no, we talked about this several times. That doesn't bother me at all. This is why music is entertainment. So, do I get upset when somebody writes a movie and the other actors act in it? No, like, no, not at all. Do as an R&B artist, y'all can write me any dope song you want. It's how I portray it. My thing is that Cardi is an entity. Like she never claimed to be like I'm coming out here and I'm penning everything. She's never said that. Now, when you got people who do say that, like you have, Nikki has come out and say she writes all of her stuff, this that, and the other. And listen, I'm fine for the people that respect that. Like I know that's a big deal for you. For me, what does the music sound like? What does the music sound like? That's what I'm concerned with. Uh, I have, like I said, I have different methods of writing, and I'm at this point, it's the music business.
Do you think that do you feel that way for okay, let's talk about just rap for a second because I would imagine that from an R&B perspective, right? That Chris Brown, for example, I would assume Chris Brown isn't writing all these songs,
No,
right?
I
So
take that.
I
No,
think that
no, Chris Brown is writing a heck of. Chris Brown is not only writing a heck of a lot of his stuff, he's writing for other artists. Chris Brown
right.
is another anomaly.
I think that see this is the thing about it. I this is what I think. I think that there are some people who I follow that are songwriters who I think would write great Chris Brown songs. And if Chris Brown took one of those songs, I wouldn't even think anything of it. And I typically wouldn't think anything of it from an R&B perspective. But I think that even from a guy, from an R&B male singer, and maybe even a female singer, I do think that it means something a little different. I give you a little bit more credit to me when it comes to you writing your songs as an R&B artist because now I look at you almost in the vein of a rapper. You're saying like, no, these lyrics and this picture that I'm painting was my original idea, and what you're hearing is the finished product of my full creative cycle, and I respect that, right? I think that for some reason, for female rappers in particular, I've never had that level of expectation that they should write their own stuff because I think that that's the same reason why for a guy rapper for when the men it is a different level of credit. The authenticity matters, right? For rappers, for male rappers, that I don't think applies to female rappers. Um, and even for R&B, right? Like I know some R&B artists who've never wrote a single song, right, that they've ever sung, and that's quite okay, right? For male or females, though, man. But I personally respect and give more credit to somebody who writes a fire song where when I think of, I would have never thought to say the that's your idea, and you as the artist, I think that's a beautiful thing. That's the beautiful part about being a songwriting artist, though, bro. It's something to
Okay.
me that's like it's different. It's a little extra sauce that people don't get, though, man.
But what if the artist never lived nothing that they wrote, but they still wrote it?
What do you mean?
So like these rappers, right? That's talking about killing people, stabbing people, robbing people, all these drugs that they done sold, but they ain't did none of that. But they the one that wrote it though.
So okay,
They
so to
fabricated.
me,
What I'm saying is they're still creating a story. They're still the one that write it. You still like the song. You still are like in the vein, like, oh, well, they wrote it and it was still, I never thought to write like this or whatever. They wrote it
right.
and but they didn't live not a drop of it.
Right. So then it's a matter of, well, okay, how much do we put an emphasis on authenticity, right?
You
Because to
you
me, like I do,
go ahead.
like here's
Go ahead,
here's
go
what
ahead.
here's what I mean. Here's what I mean. Here's what I mean. So by that, I'm saying this, right? 50 Cent, his background is very public, right? So because you know, and he's rapped at the time about him being a drug dealer and him being shot. From my perspective, he can say anything under the sun and it's believable because that to me, for some reason, gives him instant credibility. With Jay-Z, Jay-Z can say the same thing because he has a very public background about the things that he's done. So I think that that's to me your credibility. But I also think that where you change in, not to say change, where you can make up in authenticity, you can make up for that in skill, right? You can say something that like Eminem, right? Like he does. I'm not gonna say Eminem's done everything that he said in his raps, but he has a way of saying things that no one else would have thought about saying, and that skill does matter. You can have someone who is telling you an authentic story about something that they've actually did, and they're just not a great storyteller. They're not using the right verbs, they're not using the right similes and metaphors and everything. And their story is authentic. They just don't have the skill. So sometimes I think that your skill can outweigh your authenticity, though. So it's hand in hand, and both matter. But I think that one can overshadow the other, though.
Yeah, see, it's simple for me. Do it sound good. That's where I'm at.
I get it, man, because I mean, you can have an R&B artist, right, where someone writes a dope song and they just aren't doing a great job of capturing something that this writer actually had in mind when they pass the song on over to him. But another artist might capture it, right? And so for them, it's like, well, you don't. They might feel like, all right, well, you don't capture the authenticity of the song, and so it's like the execution of it to you, like it doesn't sound good. Like, yeah, it might sound cool, but I think that's where you get into some of those songs where it's like nobody else could have sung this song better than this, though, right? That's where I think that someone's skill can take over for the authenticity, though, bro.
Speaking on artists writing songs and all of that. So apparently, an AI artist, uh,
Mm,
Zanaya Monet,
yeah.
got a $3 million deal, and you got artists out here losing their minds behind it because you know they're like, how and and
I think it's
and
whack, personally.
why?
Okay, so listen, for starters, okay, how does something that doesn't exist sign a $3 million deal?
Something that does there is something that exists. The person who is writing the songs through the AI, that's who is signed. It would be
So that's so okay. So then that's different, right? So here we go. So what I thought they were saying is that you have this so the songs. Okay, no.
so
Okay.
there's a girl. I'm not gonna say what because people can look it up for themselves. I'm not gonna say what they're using. They're using a software that you and I are familiar with, and
Yeah.
they are penning the songs, but the AI is singing them. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so
Okay.
the person who is the one that's writing the songs, she is the one that got the deal, but she's putting out the songs and has, you know, created this artist that's an AI artist, and that's the name of the artist, and that's where it's going. But again, without revealing the particular software, in the software, a part of that, because I know Charlemagne was asking the question like, well, who gets paid and da 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 da. The way the software works is if you pay to use the software, you have the rights to whatever you produce out of said software. Okay. So that's how it's legal to do. They're covered on their end. And the way that the copyright people look at it right now is that these type of sites are sources of creative, they're tools of creative licensing. It's the
Right.
same way with how when we produce now, right? A lot of people use samples, a lot of people use loops. Those things were already created. You're recreating something that was already there, or whatever the case may be. And I know a lot of people have issue with it because they're saying, well, the AI is producing this or the AI is doing it. But like even with those particular programs, you still have to input certain elements that you want in order for it to happen. And I get why people might have an issue with it because it's going to change the landscape of music, it's going to change the landscape of movies, it's going to change the landscape of a lot of things because
Business.
yeah,
Business.
yeah,
Right. Music business. Because this is the issue that this is the concern that I have, right?
mhm,
So let's just say hypothetically, if you're telling me that no, the voice of the AI, right? Let's say if this is whoever it is, Tamika X is the voice, the actual voice, right? And that the AI that she's basically paired with this company to use her voice to as the voice for when they create a song, it's going to be in her actual voice. If you're telling me that she has now then signed a whole separate deal, that's one thing to me, right? But I think that if you're saying that no, she's created an artist that let's say when you go on this AI and this artist that's on this AI, they basically said, "Oh no, we didn't sign the voice, we signed the artist." So the artist is technically the voice, right? And so it's like I think when I look at that, I just sit there and think, well, if you can just if you're saying that's like saying well, you signed the deal with Chat GPT, right? Chat GPT is going to create the song, and oh by the way, this Tamika X right voice is as attached to it for anybody though, right? To me, I guess my thing is that you're basically saying, well, you signed a $3 million deal to Chat GPT, right? That's how I guess that's how I originally looked at that because I'm thinking like, no, the
right,
ideas are Chat GPT, and that's fine if you're saying I'm going to compete with Chat GPT with my songwriting ability and even your voice, right? If that's indeed the case, um, I think that you can still thrive as an artist because I think that the genuine article will still matter, right? It matters that you can be seen in a concert, right? It matters in some level of another to be able to be physically touched. But I think that to me, if anything, all it does is it makes the landscape of music more competitive to where now you can bypass original artistry though, right? So like you can say if you're a label, I don't want to deal with the headaches of having to have a hair and makeup budget for an artist, right? I could just go ahead and do this AI and I ain't got to worry about it. I can do everything else and I would pour you know what it is? You can say, well, you know what, I don't have to worry about I don't have to worry. They've already moved away from A&R, but you don't have to worry about developing an artist. They're ready to go. So your success rate is all based off of your ability to be able to promote this person and make them hot. So that's the thing I think that makes it a little different. But the personable piece of it to me is where I think that being a actual artist matters and would be able to distinguish yourself. But I can totally see why while a true artist would feel some kind of way about that though, bro.
I mean, but the thing is that a couple of things. One, you have access to the same tools that they have. Number two, you have something they can't do. They can't tour. You know what I'm saying? Uh so there's gonna be distinction, and the thing is that it's all about what people want to hear. Like, it's about the consumer. It doesn't matter if like, it doesn't matter if it's a real artist, AI artist, or whatever. What are the people listening to? That's what it's all. That's the bottom line of everything. What are the people listening to?
Yeah. No, I get it though, man. I mean, like I said, I see it both ways. I mean, I definitely see it as a tool, um, where you can essentially, make you make hits. But I look at that though, man. To be honest with you, it's like this though, right? Even outside of just the artist, right? Producers are already having a hard time getting paid. I'm seeing producers every time always get up there talking about, oh, you got the 30-day agreements with labels, and when you get actually paid for beats and everything like that. And now, right? Now, if you can just create beats without actually having to pay a producer, you're just removing more and more people, and maybe to a label that's you're removing an additional
Expense.
expense from
Yeah.
it and everything, maybe. But I'm just saying that, to me, the people who were once imperative to the music creation process though are being removed now. And at that point, though, it's like some of these people, listen, you already got artists who were already struggling. You already have producers who were already struggling, not just to get paid, but to get their music placed, to get their music in the right hands of people, though, bro. It's tough out there, though, man. It definitely, to me, is a thing that I think discourages you from entering the music business, right? If you just want to, you know, sing, and that's fine for a living. I think that it's one of those things that to me makes you as an artist think of, like you and I, though, right? I think that you and I do pretty well for ourselves for music, but it's not like we're counting on Spotify streams. It's not like we're counting on Apple streams necessarily for us to be the money maker, though, right? I think that we look at things like syncing up things and licensing as other avenues, though, man. But I just think that I think that in the end though, bro, I think that people will have to figure out how to adapt. But I think that, it's just one of those things. I
Yeah,
I
but
am concerned mainly
it's,
about producers though.
yeah, but here's the thing. I'm glad you brought that up, because it is the same thing that happened with our generation, right? We went from so many physical, like, musicians actually in the studio, like, thinking about Michael Jackson,
Mhm.
where those instruments were played, Earth, Wind, and Fire, all of them, right? That's a dying breed because everything started to be programmed. When Joe to see Devontae came and he was programming everything, Timberland, Pharrell, like, yes, they sometimes bring in artists to play real live stuff, but for the most part, everything is programmed. So again, that's a dying breed moving out the way, where it's now more AI generated, because it's like it's evolution on everything, bro. Like, this is not the first time, and it's gonna change again. And it's just
It
trying to
is.
keep up with the
And
music
I've
business.
been trying to keep up with it. So for me, this is my thing. So for me, I'll tell you where I appreciate AI being introduced into music. So because I'm not a trained musician, right?
Mhm.
I don't I play everything by ear. You always are quick to tell me if I'm off key on something though, bro. But I like what I like. And sometimes I can't, no, and not sometimes, a lot of times I can't play what I hear in my head, though, right? At least the correct way, though, man. And so I do appreciate that you can use AI to essentially create and play those things. Like, like outside of you being able to just draw chords on and everything, I can very minimally play, right? But I think that it's pretty cool that you can use AI to, generate chords for you. I think it's cool that you can use AI to, play certain instruments that take a skill that you don't have. And I think that what that does is that pushes your creativity so that your production, you don't have any reason outside of your own self and your creativeness for your beat to be as good as it can possibly be. It's like you could essentially get to a point to where you're limitless on a beat. You are limitless on your start time, your finishing time. And so I mean, it's cool in that regards, though, man. But to that point, though, bro, I think that it does, peel back some of those layers of people that now you don't have to necessarily, you ain't got to pay that upright guitar bass player no more. You ain't got to pay the guitar guy for something that you can just tell AI to this is what you're looking for, though, bro. So and I
Absolutely.
get it.
And it makes sense, man. That's it's unfortunately it's the way of the world, and it is the music business. But
Yeah.
AI is not just taking over the music business. AI is taking over a lot of things. So
Yes. AI is taking over photography, editing, video editing, though, bro. I was like, man, I'm dabbling into AI for my album cover, though, right? So I'm trying to play around with that, though, man. And so yeah. It's here. It ain't going nowhere. So I figured that I'm trying to lean into it, though, bro. But the songwriting and artist part, I get it, bro. Like especially the artist part, the execution of it is the part that I guess I feel some kind of way about.
yeah. What else we got, bro?
Listen though, bro. This real quick. NFL was interesting though, bro. This is a very interesting NFL weekend. This is great. I didn't get a chance to watch as much. Um, and I think that I did get a chance to watch. I was very tied up on Sunday, and so I thought it was funny though, man, because my mama,
Hmm.
I had a game. I started my league back, right? And so my mama, while I'm on my way on out there, she's hitting me on up. She was like, yeah, I just wanted to let you know that your boys is out here getting drugged, right? Y'all are getting whipped. I was like, yeah, it's kind of expected. I didn't think we win more than three games or whatever, though, man. And so I said, so nah, that's kind of expected. She was like, nah, but y'all getting beat. I said, well, all right. Oh, what y'all looking like? She was like, oh yeah, we up. We about like 14. We like 14-3. I was like, oh, okay. So I get done with my game. I get done with my game though, man, and I ain't seen no more texts from my mama. I was just like, well, hey, how did y'all do? How'd y'all come? Oh, still ain't heard from my mama since then though, bro. I said, oh Lord. So somebody, I might have to go send somebody to go check on my mama though, man. They done broke her heart again though, bro.
Yeah, man. The Bears put it on them, man. I was pretty impressed, man. I already told you, and this is what's funny. It's because I did my, I'm on my series of I don't know who needs to hear this. And I always, for the most part, they've been pretty serious. But this one, I was like, all right, I'm gonna play. I know it's football season. I gotta throw something out there for the Cowboy fans. And I mind you, this is right after the Bears just lost 52-21 to the Lions. So I'm out here just clowning, like, look, y'all ain't winning. It's a wrap. You know what this ain't no spoilers. This is, I mean, you know what it is, right? And so I even had some people jump in my comments like, you a hater, you know what I'm saying? And you about to get this L this weekend, bro. I couldn't wait to clap back. The Bears
Mm.
put it on them Dallas Cowboy fans. And, I've talked to a couple of people and they all got their own analysis of stuff. And so people tried to hit me up before the game was over, you know. So my thing is, listen, it was a great win for us. If the Bears were to look like this, we would actually be a contending team. Th- I hope they can build off of this and get some sort of consistency because, like I said, it actually looked like a well-oiled machine. The offensive line was protective. Caleb had time to do stuff. The run game was on. Stuff was working. The defense was doing what they could. Everything was just rolling on all cylinders, and it just made Dallas look like they looked like trash when we was playing them, bro.
Well,
It's
I
one.
thought the Bears could have won 10 games, though, bro. That's what we kind of looked at when we looked at the schedule. Like, theoretically, they could win 10. I think that one of the things that is interesting is this, though, man. I think that Dallas, there, from what because I'm always watching the playbacks, right? Here, at least that game. And so one of the things that I always see that's always a theme is that quarterbacks is putting up numbers on them. They throwing the air out the ball, though, right? From Russ throwing the air out the ball, and they won that game. But everybody's out there, and I don't know that. And they got what I think is interesting is though that I think they use it when a quarterback is just chucking the ball around. that usually means that you ain't getting enough pressure on the quarterback. And they've already let the boy Micah go. And if it seems like that they're not regretting that though, right? But they seem to already be seeing the downside of that though, man. And the other part too, though, man, is that I think that boy Diggs looked bad out there though, bro. Like I think that he was starting to look bad going toward the last season, but he had that one season where he had like 7, 10 interceptions. It was some crazy number before he hurt himself though, man. But it either looks like one or two things to me though, bro. Either he's lost a lot of speed, or that he's scouted so well since then, because that was what they I mean, he was still new then. And I always think of when you see like a lot of these players and they have these astronomical godly like seasons, and then the next season is not like that and it's not like that again. I think that they're well scouted. Like CJ Stroud had like a career year, like, and then Jaden Daniels came and topped that after people thought it would never get topped. And now CJ Stroud hasn't looked like he did his rookie season now. And you think that you would only build off of that. But now that you're scouted and you got tape on you and everything, that looks different. And I think that that's what's up with Dallas, though, man. With Diggs, anyway, though, man. Like, I thought he was like going to be like one of them dudes, like lockdown. And it just seems like anybody can get off on him, though, bro. So I don't know, man. But I do find it interesting though, man, that this season, like I said, I don't have nothing at all to look forward to. My team, I said my team was gonna be a 3-win team at best this particular season, though, bro. And I'm just glad to see my boy Kamara out there doing this thing. There's a couple guys that I still like to see they doing their thing though, man. But nah, other than that though, bro, I this season it's almost like a bye year, man. It's like not even a bye week. I just missed this whole year at all together, though, man.
Well, switching it up on you, because we ain't talked about this even off camera. What you think about the Longhorns?
Oh, oh. I thought you was about to say something else that I do want to get your opinion on before we get off.
Okay.
Listen, I don't know what to think about the Longhorns, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. And
Okay.
here's what I mean by that. I think that our defense looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Arch Manning is starting to make me nervous already.
Mhm.
Making me nervous. And the reason why he's making me nervous, it wasn't even this is my thing. I thought that Arch Manning was gonna be when I saw him in flashes, I thought, okay, generational, transformational, whatever you want to call it, he's gonna be that, right? And I think that the part that started to make me very curious about him is that, bro, you look good against the sorry teams, bro. And I don't want Arch Manning to be a sorry team beater, though, bro. But what made me nervous, right? The most nervous is the UTEP game, right? And the reason why the UTEP game made me nervous because I mean, they're sorry, right? They're a lower D1 team, right? So that I'm gonna say that when I say sorry, but he had 11 straight incompletions, 11 straight against UTEP. And my thing that concerns me is that, bro, if you got 11 straight incompletions against UTEP, I know it's early, so I'm trying to shoot you a little bell because it's early though, bro. But bruh, UTEP, and now it just makes me it's starting to make me refocus on the Ohio State. It's like I'm rooting for him, but it's starting to make me question already, unfortunately, if he's as good as I think he is.
Well, I'll shoot him some more, Bill. First 3 games, he did not look great, and I've said that. I'm on record saying it. But at least when they played this 4th game, he looked like he should look. He was making the right reads. He still missed a couple of things here and there, but he was not nearly as inaccurate. He was making the throws, making the right reads as far as running, doing everything he needed to. Because if we would have struggled against this team, that
Sam
would
Houston, bro.
Hmm?
It's Sam.
No, no.
It's Sam Houston, bro.
Okay, but Charles, listen what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Had we struggled with Sam Houston like we did with UTEP, think of the conversation we would have been having. He's supposed to beat Sam Houston 55-0. We're supposed to. So if we didn't, that would be a problem. So that's why I'm like, the fact that he was making the plays that he's supposed to make, because that's the thing. The plays that he was missing in those first 3 games are plays he's supposed to make. He wasn't making them. So at least he was making them. They go into a bye week, and then we play Florida. And then after Florida, we play Oklahoma, which Oklahoma's quarterback is getting surgery tomorrow. So, and then Oklahoma State fired their coach. So, yeah, all of that. But anyway.
State, hold on, wait. State let go Gundy?
Gundy gone, bro. And they got to pay him $15
No.
million.
Are you serious?
Yep, $15 million buyout.
Damn.
Yeah, Gundy gone, bro.
Gundy gone. I
I'm
didn't
40.
see the only.
I'm a man.
Yeah. The only coach that I saw that was let go, I saw that the Liberty recently let go their head
That
coach,
was
which is
another thing that was
wow.
trash, bro. I said, boy, there ain't no loyalty in sports, bro.
Just won a championship, and you let. I
Last
said, you know
year.
what? They must be on. They must be ran by the same people who run the Knicks. That's the only way. Because listen, this is one thing I did want to ask you though, bro.
Yeah.
All right, so uh Fred Van Fleet
Oh my God, bro.
tore his ACL.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I feel terrible for him, but I'm
100.
gonna tell you this: the Rockets is over, bro. The Rockets is over
They are.
in terms of them being a championship team. Because the reason why is because, all right, I thought that with Fred Van Vliet that you can just allow KD
Mm-hmm.
to just do whatever he give you, whatever he want to do. But now he's going to be forced into being more of a leader in that leadership role that he said he didn't necessarily want to do. And I think that now it's going to make him the clear number one on the team. And ever since we came to that beautiful revelation that KD might not be a number one guy just because he's the best player on the team. This is going to call, like, I think that the spotlight on him and that aspect of him being a leader is going to be on full display. And I just, based off of what I've seen from KD recently, I think that he's going to give you the same Kevin Durant numbers, though, bro. But I think that without Fred Van Vliet, I don't think that they have the leadership to overcome KD's shortage, even with them having Ime as their coach. I don't. So for that, bro, I think I'm out on the Rockets for even they might not even get to the Western Conference Finals, bro.
I can see that. And of course, you know, everybody's been throwing this out there, so I'm gonna say it, but I definitely don't think it'll happen. But they're saying that the Rockets need to go ahead and sign Russ.
And then hey, listen. You could do worse things, right? But I think that it's not a bad look. Now, didn't Chris Paul sign back with the Clippers?
Yes.
Okay. I was gonna say maybe CP3, but again, that's the thing though, man. CP3 just apparently isn't everybody's cup of tea though, man. So it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know who you get that's gonna fill his shoes. Maybe they got Reed Shepard, um, who didn't play much at all last season. So maybe they feel like they got someone that could be like a stopgap. But I'm just talking about just on leadership, though, man. I think that they over, bro. I think Kevin
Yeah.
Durant's still gonna average about 30, but that's it.
See, this would have been a time if Dennis Schroeder was available. It would have been a good look. If Lonzo was available, that would have been a good look.
Yeah.
And Trey Mann would have been a great look.
I like Trey Man, bro.
I do too. So, you know, and I'm gonna be honest, even though he just retired from the NBA, Micic would have been good. he would have been great.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, bro. I can't, bro. I don't trust Kevin Durant to be the leader of your players and your best player. Like if he's like the best player but not the leader on the court, that's different to me than him having to wear both hats, though, bro. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Well, man,
know. What you got for the week, though, man?
hey man, like I told you, I'm editing videos. And now that I've done with the state fair, I'm back on getting stuff, tightening up everything for the project. I'm thinking, man, I was thinking about it, bro. I think I'm probably gonna release my project in January.
Hmm.
I was thinking because so I was listening to the music. Like I definitely want some newer songs on the project, and like I'm gonna start rolling out. Like I think I'm gonna release something in October. I'm gonna release a single in October, but I think I'm gonna push the project to January if I'm thinking about it. Uh, so yeah, I think that would help me just go into 2026 with a new perspective on stuff, and then I can work some of those records. And yeah, that's what I'm thinking because some of the stuff that I have lined up on the project won't even be on it. So uh, that's where I'm kind of at.
That might be a good look, bro. I
Yeah,
think that especially that give you a good opportunity to put some records out and start to get that feedback and
yeah,
response to them, and then kind of go from there.
that's what I was
It
thinking.
also gives you the opportunity to line up some visuals and content around it, though, too, though, man. So now that'd be a good look.
Yeah, absolutely.
I, Me personally, I don't necessarily have I don't have a target date in mind just yet, though, man. I think having just dropped my EP,
Hmm.
I listen, bro. I'm not gonna lie, man. I like the idea of dropping EPs now, though, bro. I'm thinking I might, while I might not, I'm thinking, bro, if I can get the bros to line everything on up, though, man, I might just drop an EP with the bros by the end of the year, though, man. I think that might be something that I think would be pretty cool, man. I got a couple of cool little ideas, though, man. But yeah, man. I might need to do another. If I drop another project by the end of the year, that would be pretty fire, though, bro.
I think I'm gonna land. I think I'm gonna probably land on Valentine's Day, like around that time. That's when I think I'm gonna might. R&B does really well in February, so we'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
We'll see. Like I said, I'm just that was just straight off the dome. It wasn't even no like just like thinking like realistically, that's what it's looking like. But we'll see. But
Yeah.
anyway, we are the Slash Brothers from ATL to OKC. And thank y'all for joining us every Tuesday at 6 o'clock p.m. And we will see y'all on the next one. We out.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast of all time. The Slash Brothers Podcast, the greatest podcast.
Can you
of
dig
all
it,
time.
sucker?